Hello and welcome back to Getting Started with BGFX. Before we dive in, a big thank you to all you lovely people out there in YouTube land. I am at 108 subscribers. So thank you very much. Keep those likes, those comments and those subscriptions coming in. It helps the channel grow. Alright, so in this video we are going 3D. We are going to be making a rotating 3D colored pyramid. Now 2D and 3D are almost exactly the same thing. They still use vertices, indices and shaders. The only difference between the two is the projection matrix that they use. The 2D uses orthographic projection, which no matter how far away from you the object is, it will always stay the same shape. But with perspective, which is what we use in 3D, as the object moves away from you, it gets smaller and smaller. So it's like you're looking down a really long road, really long straight road, and you notice that as it goes off into distance, it gets smaller. So that effect is achieved using the perspective matrix, perspective projection matrix. Try saying that 3 times fast. And that's used in 3D. Alright, so without further ado, let's dive into the code. Alright, so if we dive into our code, we'll go to the renderer header file first. We'll create the function definition and we'll also create the variables for our pyramid. So the first thing to do is we will create a function to draw the pyramid. We'll give it a position and we'll also give it a rotation. Alright, now a bit further down we'll need to create an index buffer first. We need to create a separate index buffer because the indices are going to be unique to this pyramid. So we'll go BGFX index buffer handle, call this pyramid index buffer. The vertex layout is going to be the same, so we don't need to do anything for that, but we do need its own vertex buffer. So we'll put this under here. It'll just be a standard index buffer because we're not going to change it. So vertex buffer handle pyramid vertex buffer. Alright, so that one last thing, we'll need to create a variable to hold our projection matrix. We'll call this the perspective projection. Alright, so now that's done, we'll go into the source file. And then we'll go to the source file, we'll go up to the initialize function, and first thing to do is we will create our indices. So we'll create an array of them first. Call this pyramid indices. This will be an array. It will be made of triangles, of course. So the first triangle will be 0, 1, 2, then 0, 2, 3, then 0, 3, 4, 0, 4, 1. So that makes up the sides of our pyramid. So they're all centered on the vertex at the top. Now we need to do the two bottom triangles. So this will be 1, 4, 3, and did not put a comma there, and 1, 3, 2. Alright, now we've got that, so we'll go m underscore pyramid index buffer equals BGFX create index buffer. There it is. And we're going to copy the pyramid indices because they will be destroyed once this function is finished. So we'll go BGFX copy, open bracket, pyramid indices. size of pyramid indices times 2. Okay, so size of counts the number of elements inside the array times 2, because each of these indices occupies 2 bytes. Alright, now what we can do is we can check if it's valid. So we go BGFX is valid m underscore pyramid index buffer. So if that's false, then we'll just print line could not create pyramid index buffer. Alright, next we'll go on to the vertices. So we'll scroll down a bit, and it doesn't matter where we create them, we'll just create them here. So this is going to be another array. These vertices are going to be unique to the pyramid, so we need to create an array first. So we'll call this pyramid vertices equals that. Alright, so we'll create the position of the first vertex. So it says x of 0.0, y of 50.0, z of 0.0. We'll give it a color, 0xff, that's the alpha, so it's going to be fully opaque. No red, no green, and we'll give it a blue. Next we give it the texture coordinates. We're not applying any textures, so we could just set all these to 0. So we need to give it 2 floats. And we'll start the next one. So we need 5 vertices. We need the 4 vertices on the square bottom, and we need the vertex at the top. So the next one's going to be 50.0. You can change these to whatever you want. This is going to be centered roughly in the middle of it. This will be 0x, this will be green. Alright, rather than, oops. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So 3, 4, 5. So this next one is going to be at 50, negative 50 and 50. It's going to be blue. This next one's going to be at 50, negative 50, negative 50. And it's going to be green and blue, which I believe is yellow. I can never remember my colors. And this last one is going to be negative 50, and negative 50. And I've got the closing braces here. Okay, that looks good. Alright, so now we create the vertex buffer itself. Pyramid vertex buffer equals BGFX create vertex buffer. And again, we're going to copy in our vertices. Pyramid vertices, and then size of the pyramid vertices. And then we need to give it the vertex layout. Alright, let's build that and we'll do a quick check. And as you can see, no error messages. Alright, next thing to do is we are going to create our projection matrix. So we'll do it underneath the projection matrix that we're already creating. So we go m underscore perspective projection equals GLM perspective. Now the first parameter is the field of view on the y-axis, so that is how wide our camera can see, and it's always in radians. So we're just going to go GLM radians of 60 degrees. Now we need to give it the aspect ratio, so that's the screen width to the screen height. So we can just feed in the screen width, but first we need to convert it to a float. And just for completeness sake, we'll do screen underscore height. Now this is near, so this is how far in front of the camera we can see. So we'll start off at 0.01 and we'll go to 1000. Okay, so that is the perspective projection matrix. So now we'll go down to the begin function where we clear everything. So the first thing, so we'll do the set view clear. So we'll just grab this one. And we'll clear the 3D view. Then we of course need to set the view rect so we can see everything. We'll just steal this one again. And then we need to set the frame buffer. So get set view frame buffer. See underneath there, and 3D view. And we need to set the transform, so we'll go set view transform of the 3D view. And we'll give it the perspective projection. And we also need to do the touch command in case we don't actually render anything to our 3D view. And for completeness sake, we'll just touch the 2D view as well. Alright, so now we'll create the function itself. So we'll just go up here, just push Control dot on the keyboard, create definition for that function. Okay. Alright, first thing we'll do is we'll calculate the transform matrix, so we can just steal this part here. Steal the whole thing for now. So the transform matrix translates, rotates, and scales our shape. So we'll go GLM mat4 transform equals that, except we're not scaling anything, so we can just get rid of that whole thing. Then we'll set our state. So we're not going to do any render batches for this. This is just going to be inside our pyramid function. So BGFX set state. And we'll go BGFX underscore state right RGB. Then we'll OR it. We'll do the blending as well. BGFX state blend alpha. BGFX underscore state. We'll write to the Z. And we'll enable the depth testing as well, because this is 3D, so we're doing depth testing. So we'll go BGFX underscore state underscore depth test less. Right. Oops. Need to OR it. There we go, much better. Alright, first thing is we'll set the stencil. We'll also set the transform for this view. So this will apply the transform to anything, any and all vertices that we're drawing, but we're only going to draw the vertices for our pyramid. So we'll go set transform. Oh, can't just pass it in, we need to get the value pointer, as always. Alright, now we will set the vertex buffer. We'll set the index buffer. We will set the texture because this will use the standard shader program, which needs a texture, so we'll just set it anyway. It's not going to actually do anything. So we'll set texture, slot 0, pass it the uniform. And finally we will submit it in the 3D view, and we'll use our standard shader program. Alright, that's the function done. Now I'll pop over to our main file and we will go renderer dot draw pyramid. We will put this at -100 on the X, 50 points on the Y, and 200 on the Z, and we will give it the rotation that we're using. Alright, let's build this. And as you can see, it's not working. Through the magic of video editing, I have just gone and did a pretty in-depth debug session. There are a few very obscure things wrong with it. First up, we'll go to our begin function, and we need to remove the clear color for the 2D view. So when the 3D view gets rendered, it'll all get rendered fine. But then it'll come to the 2D view and it has the clear color flag set. So that means it's going to wipe everything with the clear color, which is this cyan. Okay, so that's the first problem. So we'll go back to our main function. It's positive 200 because the camera is at the origin and it's looking down the positive Z axis. So that's the left-handed coordinate system where Y, the positive Y is going up, positive X is going to the right, and positive Z is going forward. And finally, if we go to the draw pyramid, go to the rotation, and it was set to rotate about the Z axis. We don't want that. We want to rotate about the Y axis. So if you fix all those, and there is our lovely 3D rotating pyramid. And that's it for this video. I am going to push everything to GitHub. In the next video, we are going to be reading colors. So we're going to click on a pixel and we're going to read the color. So I will see you then.